Hello and welcome back to another podcast of Fantasy for the Week. This week we have Week 6 and Week 7 to come. A lot happened Week 6. First of all, Josh Allen. He's had a rough couple of, really 2 weeks playing, high caliber AFC teams that have put him, in a rough patch. But, for this week, I do have him starting again. Last week I did have Kyler Murray, who produced well for me. He got 28 points. I'm lucky to have, seen the matchup with Josh Allen and seeing the Chiefs and, how well the Chiefs defense has been doing right now. So Kyler Murray did a great job for me. A lot of other you guys at Kyler Murray, he got you a lot of points. He was one of the top point productions for quarterbacks this week. But this week, I put Josh Allen back in the number 1 spot. Because Josh Allen's playing, a low team in the Jets. The Jets being probably one of the worst defenses in the league. And I feel like Josh Allen, and Stephon Diggs, who've both had great seasons so far, are just going to go in here and just light it up like they've been doing, since game 1. Minus, the past 2 weeks, week 5 and 6. But, week 7, they should come in here. Bills should show, how they used to be and just light up this Jets defense that they've been able to and will, and what they've been doing in past weeks and prior. Now, recently, another person I picked up from waiver is Ronald Jones Ii from Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's offense, has been surprising people. It's not really talked about that much, but, their offense is doing well. It's an above average offense with Brady there. Like I said earlier, Brady's there to prove a point, and he's there to show that he still got it and that he can win with another team. Now, the likelihood of him winning with the Bucs this year isn't super high, but running the ball, Ronald Jones the past couple 2-3 weeks has been doing a great job, and he's one of those guys that's most likely on a waiver in most of your leagues. If not, he's on your bench, and you can pick him up and try and trade for him, for a lower value, because soon Ronald Jones he's going to be one of those maybe top 15 running backs. He can get you, at least 12 points, which isn't bad for, a running back, and maybe he'll get you even 20. If he goes against, someone like, say, the Jets, like the Bills are playing, he can get you a lot of points. But Ronald Jones, he's one of those sleeper picks that will get you points and a surprise. He's a great point production player. If you need a running back because he's hurt or another or if they're just on a bye, one of your 1 or 2s, this guy could become in place of one of your 1 or 2s after this week or weeks to come. Ronald Jones is doing a great ball running the ball. He's had a lot of receiving yards, catching, so that's what makes him a great weapon for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And another running back that most likely isn't on waiver anymore is Mike Davis. Mike Davis just shows that anyone can run with this Carolina offense, and that's what makes C-Mac so good. Is the line he's running behind, and the system they have for running backs. And Mike Davis, this is probably one of his last weeks until Christian McCaffrey comes back, because McCaffrey will probably be out, this week, maybe one more week, most likely not. But Mike Davis should, be another of those guys. It has to be at least at your running back 1 or 2. Because like Ronald Jones, he's not much of a sleeper anymore, but he runs the ball great with this offense and the system he's in. He's had plenty of catches to go along with receiving yards with it after those catches. So I think he's another one of those guys that will perform well for you in your fantasy. I have Ronald Jones and Mike Davis starting for me this week. I put Clyde Edwards-Hilaire because Le'Veon Bell. The addition of Le'Veon Bell to the Chiefs is huge. The Chiefs offense is one of the best in the league. You got Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, you got Travis Kelce, who is either the best tight end or second best behind George Kittle after his breakout last week. But then Patrick Mahomes to bring it all together. And that Chiefs offense is hard to stop, and it proved that against the Bills game. But the Bills defense isn't one of the top in the league, but it's still, an average, above average defense. And they were able to keep up and surpass the Bills' offense, which has been, superior to most offenses in the league this season. And other players that are surprising is the rookie Chase Claypool. Just Claypool came out of nowhere, really. Ever since, that week 4 touchdowns with, however many yards, he's been picked up. I picked him up, in case one of my receivers goes down, like, DK Metcalf, another 2-year guy who'll get you points, who's been doing a great job this season so far. Claypool can fill that role. If someone's on bye, Claypool, he'll probably get you, he's a little inconsistent right now, but recently in the past 2 weeks, he's been getting you points, and he's been getting 15, 20 points, for the past 2 weeks, and he looks like he's going to be one of those guys that Big Ben can throw to. And Big Ben's another one of those guys that might be on the waiver for you as well, who wouldn't be, a bad look to pick up if you're in need of a quarterback. Ben's there. Another quarterback that has proven himself, and especially against the Bills defense 2 weeks ago, is the Titans. And Ryan Tannehill has proved that, he's able to throw the ball. He can run that offense. He's got the arm. He's got the touch. He can get you points for sure. He has a lot of talent there at Tennessee to go behind a rusher in Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry, weeks prior, Derrick Henry didn't live up to what everyone thought was going to happen like he did in 2019. But, since week 5 and 6 and week 7 especially, he's going to show his 2019 playoff self. And Derrick Henry will probably be the best running back, at least for this weeks and weeks to come. Maybe until Christian McCaffrey is 100% healthy, it'd be hard not to start him, and say that he's going to become the best running back in the league, because he was, and he proved himself that he was in the beginning of the season, until he got hurt. But until then, Derrick Henry, in my eyes, has got to be the best running back in the league right now. And if you don't have him, you're not getting them, because I don't know a single manager for fantasy leagues would give up Derrick Henry, because he's looking like his 2019 self, and he's running the ball, like he used to, and he's looking to be, high production value for many players up and coming this week. Talk about some receivers. Like I said earlier, Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen, against a very lackluster Jets defense. Is a big highlight, a big circle around the Jets and the Bills for points for receivers and quarterbacks. But also Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, the guys that have produced well throughout the entire season, no matter the defense. And with the Seahawks playing the Titans this week, it could be a great matchup with DK Metcalf, because the Titans corners aren't some of the best in the league, I should say, but they aren't like the Jets, like Stephon Diggs is going up against. But the way DK Metcalf has been playing this week and shown that he can score really on any defense in the league, he's got to be another receiver 1, receiver 2 spot for you this week. Other receiver being, it's got to be Julio. If Julio can stay healthy, because he is questionable. Julio is questionable, but if he can somehow get in the rotation and they can clear him and he just gets over that hamstring injury, like you saw last week, Julio Jones is the top receiver in the league. If Julio doesn't get hurt, he doesn't get injured, he stays healthy, Julio Jones will be the best receiver in the league. Another Falcons receiver is Calvin Ridley. With behind Matt Ryan, he's a decent quarterback. He's a great target. Calvin Ridley can be the receiver 2 for you this week if you don't have him. He's great behind Julio Jones. If Julio Jones is hurt, then he'll be great. He'll just get more targets, more receptions to get you more points from Matt Ryan. And Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley have shown that they can be probably the best duo of receivers in the league, in my opinion. Other receivers being, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas against the Saints. They are playing the Bills, and the Bills defense, I've shown the past couple weeks that, they're a little average maybe, and, Michael Thomas is able to expose those corners and that defense in the middle. The Bills don't have much of a pass rush, and with the Saints offensive line, the time that, Drew Brees will have to throw will just increase, the receptions and yards for Michael Thomas. some defenses to look for and to go against. So, of course, like I said, again, the Bills, the Jets defense is probably one of the worst in the league. So, it'd be a good – I would – if you have the Jets, I don't know why you have them still, but I would definitely drop them for sure and, pick up a new defense. But some of the top performing defenses right now has got to be Pittsburgh. The Chiefs are performing well. Another surprise is the Colts and the Steelers. The Steelers no one's talking about, but they're undefeated. The Steelers being undefeated is probably one of the biggest surprises in the league right now, and no one's talking about it. That's because they have Big Ben, who wasn't there last year. He's coming in, he's ready to fire, he's ready to throw to all of his receivers. And that's another defense that looks unstoppable, really, with the Colts. The Colts and Steelers defenses are looking, along with, as well the Titans have in weeks prior recently, looking to become, some of the best defenses in the league right now. And another team that isn't performing well is the Vikings, of course. The Vikings in Atlanta, which makes it was unfortunate for Atlanta because, like I said earlier, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, and Calvin, are a great receiving core, but the defense isn't able to keep up. The defense was there for the Falcons. Who knows what the Falcons could be right now? And the Vikings, were picked early in the season, before the season, preseason, to be a team that could go far in the playoffs. It's just their defense and offense just isn't there. They lost a lot from offensive line in the offseason, but the defense being for the Vikings looking to be one of the worst in the league as well. And if you are going against them this week, if you have a quarterback going against them or some receivers, then you're probably most likely going to get a win because you're going to get tons of points from just a below average defenses from those two. But just some players to watch, of course, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. The Bills' offense should just absolutely cook against the Jets this week. Another big game to watch is the Titans and Seattle. It's going to be a great game to watch. Offensive and defensive wise, it should be fun to watch. High scoring, most likely. Seattle's defense isn't one of the best, and the Titans are coming along, which could be great for the Titans to pull off an upset, because the Seattle looks really, and Russell Wilson, another great quarterback, looks unstoppable right now, and a hard team to beat. So there's just games to look for, some players to pick up, some players to watch for, who to start. Like I said, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, some other players being, Mike Davis, Ronald Jones, just some sleeper picks, Julio, Michael Thomas, some of the big name guys, of course. But that's pretty much it for this week. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.